When you're building out a game, you're going to find you're playing it quite often, and that's usually the best way to catch what you need to do next and what things you need to take care of. So obviously the styling is one big thing that we need to do. And we should also take care of this little minor issue here where when we click the wrong answer, we can keep clicking wrong answers until we get the right answer. So you don't really want to have that within the quiz because otherwise people just keep clicking and people will get right. So you should remove the option to have the other elements clickable. So that's what we're going to do now. We're going to select all of the available answers and using the document query selector. So they have one thing in common, that they all are going to have a class that we're going to add, and we'll add the class of answer to them. And going up to where we've got the different elements here, so where we're creating them, and within the span object under class list, let's add that class of answer. So now when you do an inspect on the element, you can see that they've all got the class of answer applied. So we can select them in the select answer, and that's available within that checker function. So now that we've got them within a node list, we've got select answer and looping through each one of those available elements. We can use function as well, and I'll use ELE for this one, so to distinguish it from the other ELs that we have here. And selecting the ELE object and class list, and just as we added it, we've got an option to remove it. We can check if it contains a value, and they're all going to contain answer because that's how we were able to select them in the first place. And also let's update the style color of the elements. So we'll fade them out so that they're not going to be as visible. So we'll kind of mute the color of that element. So also, and the one thing that we did want to do is remove the event listener. So what a removed event listener does is it removes the event listeners for event target. So that's going to basically make it so you can't click it anymore. And it's not going to do anything even if you click it. And that was the function that we were sending it to. So let's try it out and go back into the console and clear that. So I'm going to select yellow, and you notice that I can't keep selecting them. And also another nice effect is that if we get it correct, maybe we want to update that style target as well. So we've got it within the select, and just as we did style color, maybe we want to change the color if it's correct to select and style color, and we'll set the color to be green. And correspondingly, if they've selected it wrong, then we're going to select it and turn it to red. So let's see what happens. So we've got green, that's wrong. See what happens again. Blue, green, or green, the other one was red. So that looks pretty good. We've got the event listeners all there, and we've got the score increasing, we've got the classes adding and removing. So all of that functionality is there. And we also ran into another bug in the last one where we saw when we were selecting the questions, eventually we ran out of questions, but we were still trying to build the questions. And that's where we need to add in a condition. And this condition is basically going to check to see if the game is over. And we're already tracking all of these values globally. So if the game value +1 is greater than game total, then we know that we have a problem there, that we need to end the game. So that will be our ending of the game. We've got no more questions to show, so there's nothing to display. So that would effectively mean that it's over. And so we should also put out a message to the user and let them know that something has happened and that the game is over. And we'll put your score was, so we'll output the score to the user because we are tracking score, and that's the game total. So that was how many questions we asked the user. And then also within the output, we're going to do the text content and we'll write. So let's see what happens. So try to play through it. And we'll apply some styling next. So correct, move to the next one. Wrong, green, correct. So score was 2 out of 3, game over. All of our functionality is there, and it appears to be working. So there are a few things that we need to still fix, and if you notice that it's always the first answer that's going to be correct. So we don't want that. It's a little bit too easy for the player. They'll eventually figure that out. So we need to randomize where these elements are being appearing. So as we loop through the queue options, we need to randomize that. So before we get into that, let's randomize that. And that's coming up next. We'll create a function to randomize the array and randomize the order of the elements as they're being presented. And then we'll top it off by applying some styling to make it look nice. And then I'll show you how you can create your own version of the spreadsheet data that you can output into a URL that connecting to your application so you can customize and have your own questions. So a lot of stuff still to come. Go ahead and play through the game, pick up anything that might be causing an error, make sure that you can play through to the end of the game and make the corrections as needed. You can also apply styling as needed as well. And you can be ready to move on to the next lesson where we're going to be wrapping up this project.